All right, let us go to the Golden State Warriors again. We started the show with them talking about the madness that Draymond Green exhibited yesterday and being ejected less than 4 minutes into the game. But let's look at it from a different angle, or look at the Warriors from a different angle. They are the 10th seed, fighting for dear life to hold off the young Houston Rockets. And I emphasize young, okay? I did it for a reason because next year, presumably, those Rockets are going to be better. And that still would only make them the 10th team in the West, right? So Memphis probably going to be better with Ja Morant back, right? I definitely better, but I think they'll be back in the playoff mix. San Antonio, Wemby's only going to keep improving, and we'll see if they're ready to fight for a playoff spot, but they're certainly going to be better too. So my point is, where are the Warriors going? Where are they going? Like next year, we talked to Anthony Slater of The Athletic, who covers them earlier. They could get rid of Chris Paul's $30 million contract. Probably going to be almost tough to trade, but you try to see if you can get some good parts for it. But likely they might just have to release him. Clay, I would bring him back at a very low number, but if I have to part ways with Clay, I got to part ways with Clay. I'm sorry. That still will not give them cap room to really do anything significant. All right. And so they are not looking like really a team that's going to be able to compete for a championship for the next several years or for the remainder of Steph Curry's, while he's still playing at a high level. I do think Jonathan Kuminga could be a future star. He's playing very well. I do like Trace Jackson Davis. He plays well. He's a nice player. He's not going to be a star, but I think he is a nice player who maybe can be a starter. But still, they're not going to be in that championship mix, I don't believe. And so what do you think Steph Curry should do? I don't even know if I should ask it that way because my view, Martin, while I would love to see him be in a situation, ideally in Golden State, but if it had to be somewhere else, so be it, where he could compete for championships, I would just defer to him. Mm-hmm. If he's fine with where he's at, and hey, I want to be a Warrior for life, and if we're not competing for a championship my last 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is, I'm fine with that. So be it. It's his life. It's his decision. What do you think? And you heard Slater say he doesn't think Steph would leave and hasn't given any indication of that. But what do you see of this? Do you think the Warriors can get to a place where they can contend, or that he'll have to go elsewhere to have those possibilities?
I mean, at this point, I think it would take some level of a guy who's kind of, we should see more of this more frequently, but a guy who is signing on in the end of their careers or near the end of their career to try to win a championship. Like when Karl Malone went to the Lakers, right?
And Gary Payton.
But, it's like I think that is probably what you're looking at as probably where you can find, like, I don't know, just off the top of my head.
But even in that situation, Shaq and Kobe were still in their prime.
Yeah, but I mean,
so Steph, I guess you want to say he's at the tail end of his prime?
Yeah, I'd say he's at the tail end of his prime.
Yeah.
If nothing for nothing else besides his age. I don't think his game has waned in some great way, but I don't think you can depend on him in the same way. Like Steve Kerr said just a couple days ago, he's like, I can't run Steph 35 minutes a game anymore.
Right,
he's 36 years old, right? The same way like the Lakers' main problem is like they have to depend on LeBron so much. If they had more around him, it'd be a little bit of a different story. But at this point for Steph, the fan in me wants him to stay in Golden State. I like.
Really?
Well, I like it.
So you'd rather him stay in Golden State and not compete for championships than go elsewhere and have be in the mix again?
Yeah, because At this point, I think, only one team can win it every year. And I think his legacy as a lifelong warrior, he's already got 3 rings at this point.
4 rings.
4. Boom. There you go. Even more. So he's already got the 4. So, that right there, I mean, he's first ballot Hall of Famer. I'd like to see them build a statue outside of Chase Center of Steph Curry.
Well, that's going to happen either way. But even if he went somewhere else, they building a statue.
But I'd like to see him retire a warrior, even if it means that his days winning championships are over. Because what would be truly sad, in my opinion, he leaves Golden State, a la Kevin Durant, and then never sniffs the finals again. Right?
Well, I think the difference there would be that Steph, first of all, he's built a winning legacy that Durant's wins aren't comparable to. Right? Like Steph is the architect of a dynasty. Whereas Durant just went somewhere and played great, don't get me wrong, but he hopped on a train that was already heading toward championships and had even won one. So I think that's different. I also think because of the age, like Durant now has been wayward as far as winning in his career for now, how many years? 4 or 5 years, 6 years now. Maybe 5 years. Mm-hmm. So Steph, because he's 35 already, he's not going to wander in the wilderness like Durant has for 5 more years. He's just not going to play that long. And so I think that's one difference. But I think this, and you brought up something, obviously Steph's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Many people view him as a top 10 player of all time. I tend to view him as that. So his legacy is incredible already. I guess it comes down to, like, is he more like LeBron? Like, LeBron's legacy is set too. But LeBron is still driven to win championships. And I get it. LeBron has a very tangible goal in front of him. Some people think he's already accomplished it. Most don't. But that's GOAT. Steph is not in that GOAT conversation, but he is in the GOAT point guard conversation. Mm-hmm. And if he went somewhere else and won a championship and he had 5, I mean, then now again, he might be satisfied, and he could be with all he's done. And it's not like these are official rankings, right? It's not like he's officially going to move ahead of Magic Johnson or something like that. But in the discussion, in the public discussion, which is stronger now than it's ever been because of shows like ours, talk shows like First Things First and et cetera.
So it's
that's
your fault.
A big deal. So, I mean, you get what I'm saying, though?
Sure.
Like, I don't think, like, I hear you on the romanticization of staying in one franchise your entire career and how great that is. But times have changed, and I don't think if he went to who's close. I mean, if he went to
let's say hypothetically speaking, the Warriors traded him to Minnesota for Mike Conley and a couple other players and some picks, right? Like a team that is young, but near in the top half of the West, competing, got another star next to him, right, with Anthony Edwards. Like I think
he led them to a champion. See, I think the key would be, what type of role did he play? If he's just kind of a role player, averaging 14 points a game, and it's Edwards and Cat carrying them, and, he's just doing this little bit part, that's different. You're right. Like, that's, to me, not worth it. Gary Payton is an all-time great player, but that championship in Miami doesn't really change his legacy. Jason Kidd's championship in Dallas, I mean, he's already got a great legacy, Hall of Famer, but that one championship doesn't change his legacy. It's what did you contribute to it? And I agree with you if that were the case, but if he were to go to Minnesota, give him 25 a night, and Anthony Edwards is giving him 24, 26, something like that, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but
you see what I'm saying?
I just think we're at the place now. Like Steph Curry can win you a series, but I don't think he can win
but
you
he
a
wouldn't be
championship.
alone. No, but I think he can with the right pieces around him.
But it's like, where is it? What's the level of right piece? Because if another like you just said,
if he were in Minnesota, now obviously they might have to give up some of, and that's a pipe dream anyway, because they don't want to part with any of their core. But just hypothetically speaking, if he were there with that team and won a championship averaging 23, 24 points a game, you don't think that would change his legacy?
I don't.
Or add to it, I should say. Not change it, add
I'm
to
sure
it.
it would add to it. It would add to the mystique. But again.
And now that's all we're talking about at this point is adding to the mystique.
But I just think it would be a negligible add. As impressive as winning a championship is, it's not like he's Damian Lillard who's never gotten over the hump and then switches teams. If the Milwaukee pulls it off this year, then boom, that changes Damian Lillard's entire stature, right? Like Steph Curry, he's a made man. He's a made man at this point.
But there are levels to this, and whether or not it would, make you and I wonder about it, some people would say that's it. He's past Magic. He's the greatest point guard ever. Some people might say this was the Steph Curry era. How can it be the LeBron era when he only won 4 in 20 years and Steph won 5 in 15, 16, 17 years?
And some people will be dead wrong if that's the case. Like
I'm just saying
that's where we're at.
And that might not matter to Steph because, like I said, all it is talk. It's not. There's no official rankings and things like that. So maybe it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that is the type of discussion, the types of conversations that would be being had if he were to go somewhere else and win.
I would say this. If I'm Steph, I'd go in there and be like, it's Draymond or me. Now what?
Yeah, but I mean, even if you do that, are you winning?
You're not winning now.
No, but I'm saying, like, Draymond is his friend. He could be frustrated, but if it's just the difference between the 9th seed and the 7th seed, what's the big deal?
I mean,
I hear you. I'm not mad at Steph if he's like, man, look, I want to be a Warrior. I'm going to play out the string here. Kobe did that with the Lakers.
I mean,
it happens. A lot of guys have done that. It's not a big deal.
And for me personally, I just like it when you see a guy stick it out with his team. Like, and because the Warriors have been Steph's team the whole time, and it would just be odd to watch him as a Trailblazer or a Timberwolf or a Timber, or you name it, a Pelican. It'd just be weird to see, and I'm not looking for it. It wouldn't be odd if he was in the
Western Conference Finals. It's odd seeing him as the 10th seed, Martin Weiss.